welcome to the 32nd episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast. With me again today is Sam.
Hey.
So, just a little background on the project. Back 299 days ago, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so for the past, as I said, 299 days. Although only the last 32 have been podcasts. Before that, it was text reviews. So each episode, I talk about two movies, one of which I watched that very day, and the other is one that I've reviewed previously in text, aided, of course, by the text review itself. So Sam, we haven't talked to you since your show. How was your show?
It was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
You guys did dumb stuff, and we're loud.
Yeah, we do dumb stuff.
When I recorded the podcast yesterday, my ears were still ringing while I was doing it, and it was so quiet down here, I couldn't get the ringing out of my head. I'm like, oh man, I should have probably worn earplugs. I should have considered it.
Nah. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, so, before we get started, I just wanted to share a bit of news. It's not related to me or the podcast, but, in a previous episode, I do not know which one.
All horror movies.
What?
I said all horror movies.
Or horror movies, no.
It was, we were talking about Christopher Walken. It was...
which movie?
Oh,
it was The Addiction.
Yeah, he had that very small part of The Addiction, yes.
That's right. Thank you. So we were talking about the whole Natalie Wood, murder, death, suspicious death, I guess. And I think I mentioned that, I thought Robert Wagner had been, named a person of interest. That wasn't true until apparently today when he was named a person of interest. He's definitely the police.
I've been looking at him for years, for the past 37 years or whatever.
36 years.
36 years, I'm like, yeah, he did it. So, in that respect, he's been a person of interest.
He's been a person of interest to Sam.
For 37 years now. So... But now the police are finally catching up with me.
But you're not even that old.
On the investigation.
But that happened before you were born, though.
You don't know when I was born.
I do know when you were born.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Hey, I'm letting all the ladies know out there that you're under 37.
Ladies, I'm ageless.
That's true.
Hit me up.
That's true. You can tell by...
I defy age.
You can tell by his, I don't know, lack of maturity.
Yeah, exactly. People say I can play roles from about 20...
Jeez, sorry I asked.
To 40, something. Tell the producers of your thing you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyway, Robert Wagner was, it seems, officially named a person of interest in the Natalie Wood disappearance. Not disappearance, but...
murder.
Suspicious death. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't technically a murder yet.
No, even now, the coroner's report was changed eventually, to reflect, because originally it was ruled an accident, and now it's drowning and other unknown circumstances, I think, something like that is what's in the coroner's report. And Robert Wagner has completely refused to, cooperate with the police thus far, since, they reopened the case or started looking at the case again. I don't know if they ever technically closed it. Oh, they must have if they ruled it an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, since they reopened the case. There's actually a lot of true crime news today, which I'm just going to talk about the headlines for a second, just because I think it's weird, all of this stuff seems to have happened over, the last couple of days. The Slender Man murder, or attempted murder, did you hear about that?
No.
2 12-year-old girls,
murdered.
Attacked another fellow student. I think she was around their same age, 11 or 13.
Because a Slender Man told.
Yeah, because that's what they said. And one of the girls was already sentenced to 25 years in psychiatric care of some kind. The other one today just got 40. So, yeah, so that's that. They did not take her age into consideration. The fact that she was well under adulthood. They did not consider that as a factor in her sentencing, which I have strong feelings about that I won't get into, but regardless, hopefully she gets the care she needs regardless of the circumstances, but And the other piece of news is they dug up, they excavated a site, like some kind of factory or something, I don't know, in Australia because of the Beaumont disappearances. There were three children who disappeared. The Beaumont children, just vanished off the face of the earth, basically. And they have not had any real, like, material evidence since then. Unfortunately, they didn't find anything in this place. So, that's true crime news. I know this isn't a true crime podcast, but I just thought it was kind of weird, and I did want to mention the Natalie Wood thing, so.
Well, Slender Man.
Yeah, Slender Man, yeah. Yeah, Slender Man is horror news,
I thought it was going to be a much more horror-y article of news when you started it, but it's actually pretty sad.
I know. It's all sad. It's all
Thanks.
sad. Bunch of kids.
Thanks. That was fun. I'll see you next podcast.
Don't you see why? Don't you see why I love true crime?
I'm so glad you invited me onto the podcast. Really.
So we tried to watch when I heard the news about the Natalie Wood thing, we tried to watch The Prophecy, but we couldn't get our hands on
starring the super hunk Christopher
Walken, yeah, which we mentioned on that episode.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get our hands on a copy. I kind of thought we might have one lying around the house, and then I thought we might be able to rent one for cheap somewhere, but you can't really. All of the rental prices were more than I wanted to pay for a movie from 1995 that I already know is like, I know I've seen one of them, and they're pretty bad. They're neat. I like
They're pretty bad.
I actually don't have any memory of that. I know that I did like it when I was a kid, but there was a really hot Asian angel in one of them. I think he's the second one. So that may have had something to do with it. Anyhow, so instead of that, we watched The Snake Woman from 1961. Sam, how did you like The Snake Woman from 1961?
I have a lot of mixed feelings about a movie called The Snake Woman. Yeah. It should be pretty, like, straightforward, whether I liked it or not.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Yeah, I guess I liked it.
Yeah.
/ I kind of hated it.
Really? Yeah, I liked it. I liked it more than I kind of thought I would. A lot of movies from this era can kind of get a little, they can sort of feel all the same. For whatever reason, I felt like this one did feel slightly unique, but in ways that I can't really quantify.
Well, my biggest problem is it's, like, secretly really sad.
It is.
The movie doesn't portray that at all, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Is the movie doesn't portray how sad the story actually is.
Yeah.
And, it still would have been sad if they kind of shed the light on it.
Yeah.
But at least it would have been intentionally sad.
Right.
Instead of me just continually thinking about it and being like, man, that was, like, a pretty sad story.
Right.
That they didn't ever talk about her. Yeah. And that's my biggest problem with it.
Right. So, generally I give you guys a synopsis on this. In this particular case, because of the title and because of the way you have to talk about this movie, I'm not going to give you the synopsis or, like, the sort of premise of the movie. Just know that, the title is pretty explanatory. Like, there's a snake woman. What that entails or why.
Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah, what that entails or why is sort of, a spoiler, considering you have to understand there's going to be a snake woman in a movie called The Snake Woman. So we'll just go with that.
The spoiler is there is actually a snake woman.
Yes.
In the movie. Which.
Yeah.
I probably would have hated the movie if there was never a snake woman. Even if I was like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of liked it. There was some weird stuff with it for sure, and yeah, it definitely is sadder than they acknowledged. I think that's sort of characteristic of the time period, though. They didn't generally dwell on that stuff. Yeah.
It bums me out that they didn't say how sad it was.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Because now I have to make up my own sad parts for it, and it's way sadder than anything they would have done.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there is one scene where they kind of sort of a little bit address it, but then they just, like, literally 30 seconds later, you remember.
Yeah,
you remember what I'm talking about.
The whole movie's like that.
The whole movie is like that, yeah. Okay, so, one of the first things I wanted to talk about is the cast. The very geriatric cast.
They're already old. Okay. They're already old, I'll give you that.
So this has a pretty sizable cast of people that are, that have lines in it. Definitely there's only a few main characters, no more than usual. But, like, all of them are in their 60s or something like that, weirdly. There are 2 female cast members that are, like, maybe, I think one is in her early to mid-20s and the other is in her early to mid-30s. Well, probably mid to late 30s, maybe. And then there's one man who looks like he might be, like, late 30s, early 40s, and that's it. Everybody else in the cast is, like, weirdly old, which is just something that you don't always see. I mean, there are a lot of movies where I feel like you see, like, an entirely young cast where the oldest person is, like, mid-40s or something like that, but I've never seen something with this old of a cast where it's not, like, really addressed at all. Or part of the story, like in Cocoon or something like that. Did you think that was weird? I know we commented on it a ton during the movie.
Yeah, it was super weird. And there's a part I'm not going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it'd be fine, right? There's a time lapse.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
There's a time lapse, and all the actors already look old, and there's a time lapse.
Yeah.
And then they just look older.
Barely.
Yeah, barely, but still they do.
They, like, whiten their hair.
And it's slightly. Like, how are these people still alive?
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, you were 80 when we saw you. How are you still alive? This is 1961. The life expectancy was, like, mid-70s or something. Maybe less.
That was pretty weird. It wasn't bad. It was just weird that was the case.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it lessened the movie anyway. It was just sort of peculiar, and it actually sort of adds to that thing I was saying where it feels slightly unique. That's a weird thing to say, it's a contributing factor, but I think it is. What did you think about the acting?
It was pretty good for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anybody I didn't think was doing a good job, but I think everybody was doing a pretty good job. They're pretty minimal roles. The movie's only an hour.
Yeah.
But
it's like an hour and 8 minutes.
I feel like everybody who was in it was doing, like, a good to pretty decent job.
There was one, the nurse who I thought was kind of, she is way over the top way too early. But later on, once the movie starts to get to that level that she was already playing at, like, I feel like she fits a lot more. Yeah,
I felt the same way. I was actually going to note her acting being good, but in a terrible way because it's a terrible character.
It is, yeah.
So that, especially for the time, that was very noteworthy. Yeah. A lot of this stuff, and a lot of stuff I like about this era of movies is it's a little, like, sedated, a little, like, dreamlike.
Subdued, yeah. That's one of the things I like about the 60s.
Yeah, she was very over the top for the time.
Yeah.
Which helped, I think, in an aspect that I actually hated about the movie. Yeah. But it helped, like, she did a good job at it. Right. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it felt kind of awkward in the beginning, but again, like, once it started getting going, it started to feel like that was the appropriate response later on, whereas in the beginning, it felt like she was just being fucking weird for no reason. Not no reason, but, being hysterical, essentially. Being a hysterical woman. You're not gonna not acknowledge that with the news that we got today?
No.
In our town?
Why would I?
There's misogynist news in our town today, so I just thought
Yeah, that's not new.
Yeah, that's true. That's not new. Yeah. What else is there to talk about? Well, how did you like the performance of the Snake Woman?
I love the performance of the Snake Woman.
Yeah, me too.
It was so good.
Mm-hmm. It was very subtle and minimalistic.
Yeah, it was very good. Mm-hmm. Very it's hard to talk about since we're not talking about it.
Right.
But very sympathetic, very sad without doing much.
Yeah, without doing much. Yeah. It was I thought it was very, very well done. It was underplayed in all the right ways. I felt like, because sometimes that character is it's every character that is a something woman. Like, but in this particular case, like, they build the story in such a way that it makes sense. It's not just like, this is just, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I do agree. I like her performance. How did you feel about the pacing?
It was kind of weird. It was kind of weird for an hour movie.
The first act was really long. It was like half the movie, wasn't it?
In a way, but in a way not.
I mean, I guess you can count I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like all over the place, and there was possibly like 4 acts.
Yeah.
And it was like a little choppy on what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I think the overarching theme not really being there.
Yeah.
And the pacing are its 2 biggest problems.
Challenges. Yeah. I feel like one of the problems I have, I mean, and this is maybe just a personal thing, but I feel like if your first act is slow, then it makes the whole rest of the movie a little bit harder to get through. And in this one, yes, there are a couple of different places where you can designate the end of the second act, depending on how you see the story, and if you think there are 3 or 4 acts. But if you're putting this into a 3-act structure, it is a little bit late. It takes a little long. And the audience has already picked up on what you're putting down at that point. Like, a lot of the first act could have been done through implication, or they beat you over the head with it a little bit.
For sure. I actually think that helped the movie in the, like, sympathy for the character.
Okay.
Even though they didn't play that up, so,
yeah.
Like, I don't know why they put it in. I feel like there was a version of this that was much different.
Right.
That they maybe cut scenes from and changed stuff around, or cut together in, like, a more simple way.
Right.
I that could be, like, total bullshit on my part, but it feels that way to me.
Yeah. I didn't get that same feeling, but I could see it. If somebody told me that, I wouldn't be, you know. There is one particular indication that Sam reminded me of that there is in this movie, that there may have been additional scenes that got cut, and that's for sure. But whether those scenes fundamentally changed the movie, I'm not sure. It would be really hard to say. So there's a scene in the beginning of the movie. This is kind of cool. It's the very, very beginning of the movie. It's like the first scene where they appear to actually, like, I don't know, what do they call it? Milking a snake? Or is it like devenoming a snake?
I've always heard it as milking.
Yeah, I have too. Which is really neat, actually. It's kind of neat that they got somebody to do that. I mean, it's clearly not, I mean, it's supposed to be an actor, and clearly it's not gonna be an actor. So they were clever enough to show the actor before and after, and the actor going to get the snake. But I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. He could have. I just don't see that happening. But it was kind of neat to see. I don't know if you've ever seen that in real life or in any kind of video or anything like that. But it's kind of neat. Basically, you get a jar, and put, you know, some kind of a cheesecloth or something over it. It depends on what era you're talking about. And then you have the snake bite the thing so that it releases the venom, and you can use the venom for scientific testing, or you can use it for whatever you would want snake venom for. I don't know.
Sometimes they just milk them, so if they bite somebody...
Yeah, that they won't release as much venom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, true. So that was kind of neat. I mean, obviously in 1961, you know, the footage of it is not super clear or anything, but it does appear to be, like, genuinely they are doing that. I don't know how they would have done that shot in 1961 without actually doing it. So just a little neat thing that you can see there. If you really want to see a snake getting milked, though, I would just go to YouTube, because you can find much clearer ones. Sure. So that was just another thing that kind of set it apart a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't hang around the house searching HD versions of people milking snakes. What kind of weirdo would do that? Yeah, it would be weird.
No. I'm just kidding.
It's weird.
No. I've seen it in documentaries and stuff before. But yeah, that's just, like I said, it's just something that makes it feel a little bit, it sets it apart from other movies at the time. Like, definitely it's been, stuff like that has been done in movies before, but it's not something you see every day. What else is there? Did you want to talk about the actors, or did you have...
I know nothing about the actors. I looked them up. They were in some TV stuff. Nothing.
Not even the Snake Woman?
Just a bunch of TV stuff.
Huh.
Like weird TV shows too, like the Avengers. No, not the Marvel Avengers. Huh?
I've heard of the Avengers.
The one with Emma Peel and whatever the other guy's name was. Shit like that. Maybe some Hawaii Five-0 extras and stuff like that. Not people who did more work, which was weird, but only really small work. Nothing I know.
Yeah.
But there's a but here. The director's first movie was in 1957. He's said to be directing something called Drive Me to Vegas and Mars in 2018.
Whoa. Was he 14 when he directed that first movie?
I have no idea.
When does it say he was born?
Here's some highlights of his film credits for my personal that I've seen or know of. He directed Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Was that good?
No, it was not. But he also directed Ladybugs from 1992, which was, that's right, amazing. Rodney Dangerfield, the kid from Sequest.
Oh, Ladybug, you made me watch that. Oh, it had, who was the kid?
The kid from Sequest.
It was the kid from Sequest. Was it Bastion? Wasn't it Bastion?
Second Bastion.
Second Bastion. I liked Second Bastion too, though. Yeah, it was Bastion from the Neverending Story too. In
the 2000s, the early 2000s, he directed a couple of Dolph Lundgren movies.
Oh boy!
So
from the heights of Ladybugs to that,
he's a real pro. He's been at it for several decades.
How has he been doing that? Well, okay, go down to what year is that? 57. Okay, now go back and see if it says his age or what year he was born. I have to know how old this person is.
He was born in 1933.
43, 53. Yeah. Okay. So he was pretty young. So he must be in his 70s or 80s. That's crazy that he's still directing. That's awesome that he's still directing. Okay.
Just like the cast of this movie.
Usually for movies from the 60s.
Still at it.
Usually from the movies from the 60s. I don't have to try to look up their Twitter accounts. I guess I have to for this person. Yeah. I don't think he has Twitter, but he could. I've known people that were old who had Twitter.
Getting this Drive Me to Vegas and Mars off its feet. I probably got a Twitter.
Are you sure that's not a Stingray Sam sequel?
I wish. Doesn't look like it, though.
That's too bad. Okay, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about this movie? Say about this movie or anything? I know there was other stuff I wanted to talk about, and I just can't.
I'm just kind of disappointed in like, well, because it's shot pretty well, and there's some really good shots in it. Mm-hmm. You know, overall, it's, you know, just really, a product of the time of filmmaking. Mm-hmm. But there's some good shots in there, which is nice. Mm-hmm. I just have a real big problem with the tone. Mm-hmm. and like the what could have been of the story. Mm-hmm. Okay. It feels a lot like a letdown in a lot of ways for me in that way. But in the ways that I like, the potential I saw in the movie, I really liked. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am with it.
I feel like it's one of those movies where it just depends on your personal tastes, and of course that can be said of every movie, but specifically with this one, I feel like depending on how you feel about specific aspects of the film, you're gonna come away with a completely different opinion based on those things. Personally, I think this definitely fell on the positive side for me. I did appreciate it. The pacing certainly was a slight challenge, but I mean, the movie's only like an hour and 8 minutes, so it's not a huge time sink, and even really bad pacing on a movie like this, it's hard to make it feel, you know, much longer than it is. So, who would you recommend this movie for?
Anybody that enjoys movies of this time. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it, even though, like, its shortcomings. Yeah. But anybody who enjoys movies, what year was it? 61?
61, yeah.
Yeah, that's into like B61 movies. It's
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's quick.
Yeah. Well, it's not terribly B. It's not un-B, of course. But...
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were trying to indicate something to me in real life.
You want me to. It's called... it's called The Snake Woman.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yes. No, so it feels... One of the things that I find about B movies from the 60s is that they usually feel like 50s movies. And there are definitely a couple of ways in which this feels like a 50s movie, but it's still, there's a lot of parts of it that feel like a 60s movie, that legitimately feel like a 60s movie, even though it's pretty early for that, which I don't know whether that means Rock My World. Did somebody do Rock My World attached to this? Who did this?
The director.
The director directed Rock My World?
Yeah, what the hell is Rock My World?
Oh my god, it's an Alicia Silverstone movie. They're in a band.
It looks fucking terrible.
It's not unterrible, but it has, I'm sort of friends with one of the actors in the movie.
It looks super bad.
Kieran Malick.
And I love...
Do you remember Cherry Falls? He's in Cherry Falls. Remember,
yeah, I know.
I kind of know him.
I love Alicia Silverstone. And it looks...
amazing. I can't believe he directed that. It's not as terrible as, well, it's pretty bad.
Next podcast, the horror movie Rock My World.
It's not a horror movie.
We'll see how it is. It's not going to be good as Clueless.
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
I had never heard of the movie.
I've told you about that movie 50 times.
I don't listen to you. I tell you that 50 times, and you would know if you listen to me.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. That makes me really want to rewatch that movie and tag in Kira. But no, it's... Oh. Anyway, that's completely useless to the podcast. Yeah, I would suggest this for anybody into 50s or 60s horror. Again, it feels more like a 60s horror movie than a lot of the stuff I've seen from the early 60s. So it's just a tonal difference, I think. Yes, there are definitely certain aspects that could have been punched up. The pacing could have been a little bit better. But all in all, I think it was a good one. If you have any interest at all in that era of cinema, if you're interested in movies about snake women, you can do worse. For sure, there's a lot of movies about snake women or cat women or spider women or whatever out there. Yeah, I don't know. You might like it, you might not, but at least it's only an hour or so. So, yeah, that's our review of The Snake Woman from 1961 and not Rock My World. So, I guess the next one we're going to talk about is The Dead Room from 2015. I've been putting it off long enough, honestly. There were a couple others that actually would really, really well fit in.
Yeah, you couldn't remember what they were about, so we didn't talk about them.
No, I've reviewed a couple.
No, just refresh yourself so we can talk about it on the podcast. Be a little professional next time. We are making tons of money for the podcast and the one listener.
Yeah, no, according to my feed burner, there's 41. So, I don't know whether that's in any way accurate, but yeah.
I just imagine one crazy person listening to it 41 times over and over.
No, but it's new subscriptions. It's not like particular downloads or anything. No, but anyway, there were two movies that we watched that really would fit in with this episode. One of which Sam didn't see, so can't do that one. And the other one Sam miraculously forgot, even though this is a movie that I feel like could never leave his brain for a couple of reasons. But that's okay, we'll talk about it on another episode. Instead, we have to talk about this garbage. So how did you like this garbage? The Dead Room.
Some asshole made me watch this garbage, and I hate them forever now. End of review. Thanks for joining us. Huh? You like that? No, it's not very nice, huh?
I just think it's funny that you don't remember it. There's one particular thing that I feel like you never forget for movies. Like, movies where that happens, you never forget them, and you did in this one.
What happened?
I don't want to say on this
spoiler
episode.
Alert,
It's a spoiler, man.
Spoiler
It's
alert.
a spoiler. Okay, so this movie was the most boring movie. I don't even... Okay, I talked a lot of shit about Darling and how boring that was, and I really do stand by that, but at least Darling had, like, visuals to fall back on. At least you can argue that Darling kind of tried something. This movie is basically only a movie because of the tedious length of it. If you played a drinking game with this garbage and took a shot every time something happened in this movie, you could still drive home. Like, it's so bad. It's from New Zealand, and I hope it's the worst movie from New Zealand, because, you know. So, The Dead Room, it's about these 3 paranormal investigators, one of which is a psychic medium, who are called in to, like, investigate a supposed haunting in a remote house in New Zealand. That's really the only information I can give you, because honestly, nothing else happens until an hour in, which is 20 minutes from the end of the movie. So, I mean, was there anything that you remember liking about this movie?
There's absolutely nothing I liked about this movie.
Okay.
The acting was fine. The acting was okay. Good.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were trying to do, make some semblance of a character piece.
Yeah. Okay.
But all the writing was terrible.
Yeah, and the characters was pretty bland.
And didn't make any sense. Like, here's an instance. So, they're all together, they're all traveling together.
Yeah.
You know, they're not friends, they're kind of working a ghost hunting job, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But they are.
Yeah.
They're all people.
They're colleagues.
Yeah, they're colleagues. As soon as they get there, one of them's like, "Oh, you're a psychic? I don't believe in that."
Yeah.
Essentially. And then you have
mocking somebody. Yeah. They're investigating ghosts and mocking mediums.
And then in your own head, you have to be like, "Hey, this fucking asshole is on a ghost hunt, but he doesn't believe this medium can actually talk to ghosts?" That's where his logic.
That's where he draws.
He's like,
line.
not real, not real. Fake news.
Fake news.
Mediums aren't real. Ghosts, yeah.
Ghosts are science.
They're real. It's not even like he was like, "Oh, I'm only doing this for a paycheck. We're not going to find anything." That wasn't his character. That would have made sense.
That would have made sense. I think we talked about that right after the movie, that if he had been that guy, I would have bought it, and it would have fit in with the fucking movie.
And that was, like, kind of all the writing, just kind of lazy like that, just trying to push, trying to make a movie.
Right.
But out of nothing. Not caring if it made sense, not caring.
Yeah. I mean, it had all the parts of a movie, it just, all those parts were crappy. It's like if you make a car out of popsicle sticks, you have a car, but, I mean, can you drive it? Okay, now to be honest, and I probably mentioned this before, I've never really been much for haunting movies. Ghosts are so preposterous to me as an object of fear that I generally can't be moved watching movies about them unless they really try something. You know, The Shining, House on Haunted Hill, The Haunting, these movies, even the remakes of the latter two, actually, really tried something with the haunting genre, and I can sort of appreciate, like, a certain level. Honestly, as, like, a side note, if anybody out there listening has any good recommendations for haunting movies that aren't, you know, just about special effects and jump scares, I'd really love some. I would love to be convinced that this is a genre I should pay attention to. I just have not been so far. So yeah, you can, if you're listening to this right now, you can email me at reclusehorror@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions. It's one of the few genres of horror that I feel like I've dismissed out of hand, kind of. But I just have not really seen very many good ones. I mean, Samuel, what's your favorite haunting ghost movie?
The Shining.
The Shining? Oh, duh. I said The Shining. I think mine's Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Christina Ricci at her best.
Heck yeah. Yeah, not really. But, I mean, no, and she's great in that. That's not really my favorite haunting movie.
She's great.
I guess mine is probably House on Haunted Hill.
Period.
But again, I'm not super well versed in them. I tend to avoid them. So, even those dumb, supposedly real ghost haunting shows will fake stuff to make them look interesting for the length of a promo. Could these filmmakers have tried to space out the 3 things that actually happened in this movie so that they weren't all packed into the last 20 minutes?
There's a ton of shit that happens in the last, like, 10 minutes or whatever, too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they started to movie, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, something's happened, and the worst part is that the just, you know, character stuff is terrible.
Right.
And it's the majority of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, the acting isn't the worst. None of the characters overplay anything. Not that there's a lot to overplay in the script. You're given no backstory on the characters.
I think the actors are good to fine.
Yeah.
But they just have nothing to work with.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because, like I said, you're given no backstory on these characters. The details of why they've been called to the house or the history of the house itself, it's all left completely, like, I don't know. They don't talk about that at all, which suggested to me early on that, it was going to be one of those movies where you just fucking strap in. They're like, don't worry about this shit. This is going to be a crazy ass movie. When I see they don't add any backstory or, like, bother with, like, setting up characters, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a fucking ride. And that movie did not do that. When they remove a story from the standard sort of setup, it means that they just want you to focus on all the shit that's happening. And this can really be effective if you're left with some, if you're left with some unanswered questions by the end, you usually don't care because a bunch of shit happened. It's like Anti-Birth. So many questions. I have so many questions, right? It's a great movie, though, because a bunch of shit that happens is super crazy. And that one, yes, they did have backstory. That's not a backstory, lack of backstory, argument or whatever. But, like, the whole length of the movie is crazy, and even though there's 50 questions... Yeah, even though there's 50 questions at the end...
Yeah, and they don't go into the backstory hard. They just...
No, they don't. They just set it up.
Yeah,
but
they mildly talk about... No, it didn't. And... It's really what you expect, maybe they talked about, a few points to their backstory. Yeah. Nothing I can remember.
Yeah. Well, this has all of the same questions that you have in a movie like Anti-Birth, but without any of the payoff. By the final moments of this movie, all I felt was relief that the movie was finally over. It was so bad.
And they are in a room, as in you're in a room inside of a house.
Yeah.
It's not a specific room.
No. Yeah. Bad title.
It should be Dead House.
The Dead House. The house where dead things have possibly been. We don't know.
It's basically like an old guy, a technician, and a spooky girl walk into a house.
Yeah.
And then it's boring for like an hour.
Yeah. It's really bad. So I felt like the filming and the lighting were passable, other than that they used like a ton of crane shots and flyovers really often in the beginning of the movie. Nothing was too dark to distinguish, which is a frequent problem in haunting movies, and really horror movies in general these days, I think.
That was actually my favorite part.
It was that you could see everything that didn't happen? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, when stuff does happen, it's fully lit.
Yeah.
And you can actually see what's happening and what they're doing. It's like daytime when it happens.
Yeah.
Which is super refreshing and nice.
That is kind of. Maybe that was the hook they were trying to go for. Look, it happens at daytime.
This is a daytime movie.
Yeah. So are vampire movies. Get over it. Because they usually kill him by the sun. Yeah. I don't think there was really any standout moments as far as the filming is concerned, either bad or good, other than, the heavy use of, like, flyovers and stuff. There's no effects to speak of, bad or good, either than one...
there's a few at the end.
Yeah, either than one particular moment when a fridge is knocked over by a, quote, ghost, in the least convincing way possible. Do you remember that?
They just, like, knocked it over?
Okay, when a ghost moves something, there's a few ways that it's generally done. In a movie, obviously. It can float eerily. It can fly as if it's being blown by wind. It can look like it's been knocked away as though it was backhanded or some kind of motion like that. Or it can be thrown. These ways work well, though it would be neat to see something different. In this case, it moves completely unnaturally in a way that looks as though it's being pulled on a line.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it looks and feels like a mistake, and in a movie with so little going on, it doesn't take much to focus on something like that. Do you remember?
It's the only thing that happens for a long time.
That's the first 45 minutes of the movie. That's the only thing that happens, is that fucking fridge. I'm not even positive that's when it is in the first 45 minutes, so. Okay. So, the basic way that the movie unfolds is a lot like those ghost hunting shows. I mean, I've never seen one, but how it seems like they go, I guess. I've seen parodies of them. So they bring in some pseudoscientific equipment and take measurements and videos, trying to find evidence of the haunting. There's a few little things that happen at first, and presumably it was supposed to build up to something significant, but it takes so long and amounts to so little that even when things start to happen, it's too late. It's almost annoying, in fact, because if it had started a half an hour earlier, it might have had some kind of impact. The characters are fairly bland because of the complete lack of details to make them interesting, so that can't tide you over until the action kicks in either. The house looks unaccountably shabby and really isn't interesting enough, to tide you over either. I don't think the house is supposed to be that old, right? The last time somebody lived in there was fairly recently. It was like 3 or 4 years before.
I can't remember. It didn't look old.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember.
Speaking of the house, though, there's a problem there, too. So it's implied that the family that had been living in the house left in a hurry because of the haunting and called in, oh, that's right, it's only been vacated for days or weeks.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Okay, so that's why I use my stupid review. So they're supposed to have left in a hurry because of the haunting and called the investigators shortly thereafter. There's some dialogue that indicates that, and when the investigators get there, they find some birds in a cage that had been pets of the family, and being that they're alive, it couldn't have been long between their leaving and the investigators arriving. Despite this, and the fact that the family seems like it would be somebody that would keep, like, a clean house, there are a ton of leaves in the house, every room of the house, it seems, upstairs and down. In addition, there's a door in the house that, when it's opened, you hear a loud buzzing of flies and see one fly out, implying that the room is completely infested. How could this happen in the amount of time that's allotted?
Because it's spooky.
To me, it's just a lazy way of adding set dressing, and it really comes off as such to me. I actually thought there had been a little bit more time. Maybe if they literally left with the door open, it could have gotten in there. But no, still couldn't have gotten upstairs, and those birds would not be friggin' alive. Birds do not live long without eating. So, by the time the end came, Sam and I were so disengaged, no matter what happened, it wouldn't have impressed us. That comes from my old review. Do you remember that feeling, Samuel?
Yeah.
Again, there's no explanation for what's being shown or the significance of it, so it's just a nameless nothing for which you have no frame of reference. So it's not like you can be thinking, oh, that's the person or thing that they talked about earlier. I didn't expect that.
There's absolutely nothing like that.
Because there's no lore in this movie. I know I've talked about how much I like lore and backstory and meaty, plot, big, thick plots, and this is not that. You know nothing about the deaths in the house or the surrounding area, and they don't show you news clippings or tell folklore or just any of the ways that you could set this stuff up. It just has no impact. So think of it this way. It's like if you had an entire mystery movie where they tell you nothing of the criminal's crimes or the people investigating it. They spend over an hour going after them with pretty much no headway, finding out a little bit about the crimes, but nothing about any of the suspects. And then in the last 10 minutes, someone you don't know just shows up and can't be anyone but the criminal, does some stuff, and then the movie's over. Does that sound like a good movie, Sam?
No. Sounds bad.
It wasn't. We watched it. That's what we watched.
It was bad.
Yeah. This was also the day that we watched Guardians of the Galaxy, the second, Guardians of the Galaxy in the theater. So,
Volume 2?
Volume 2, yeah.
Nice.
We saw that in the theater the same day. So, obviously you weren't going to get a lot of points from me compared to that movie when you're this dull. But,
Can we talk about New Zealand now?
Yes, we can talk about New Zealand.
The director didn't do anything.
Shocking.
But, the two,
actors?
the two male, actors were both in the Hobbit movies.
Oh, really?
Because
it's New Zealand.
Because New Zealand and everybody in New Zealand was in those damn movies.
Mm-hmm. In order to confirm your citizenship, you had to be in those movies in one capacity or another.
One of them was in King Kong.
The Peter Jackson one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
New Zealand. Peter Jackson.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of them was in District 9.
Oh shit, I love that. That wasn't filmed there though, wasn't it? Wasn't that filmed in Johannesburg?
I didn't say it was, but he was in it.
Okay. That's awesome. He was police officer.
I like that accent. And one of them was Void from Dead Alive.
Oh, really?
Which is cool. Which was the cool one.
That is kind of cool.
Anyways, I'm done.
That's all? That's all you have to say?
But,
some guy was in...
New Zealand.
Was in New Zealand movies.
Yeah, New Zealand. Keeping it real.
Who would you suggest this movie for?
Nobody. Absolutely nobody should watch this movie.
Yeah.
I remember them talking with accents in this movie.
I don't either. I don't remember
Or
that.
like, yo, if you like New Zealand accents or something.
But they might have American accents.
Remember.
I don't remember either. Yeah, I remember kind of sort of liking the psychic medium character.
Yeah, that's what I was to say. If you love goth girls.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And I don't really know, I don't have any memory of why I might have liked her.
She was good. She was a good actress. She had a good role. It was sympathetic. And...
Yeah. I do remember her being slightly sympathetic and not being too over the top.
Yeah, very not over the top.
But again, nobody overplays.
And the only really thing that I remember happening is one of them being an asshole.
Yeah, to her. Yeah.
For the exact reason she's even there.
Right, exactly.
Seriously. Like,
the same reason that they're all there.
Yeah, the same reason they're all there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The same reason that the person giving her shit is there.
Yeah.
Is why she's there.
We're talking about science. We are investigating ghosts with science, not with your hocus pocus. So, yeah, that's the sort of movie that you're in. Yeah, this is really one of the most unaccountably bad movies that I have seen. It's certainly not my least favorite. It did not enrage me. It did not make me, angry or offended or whatever. I mean, honestly, I know that I talked about that terrible, terrible Strange Blood movie and I was really pissed off, but that is not a common occurrence with me. That is one of maybe 2 times that I think I've ever been pissed off about any of these movies. And this is not one of them. I mean, there's just, there's nothing inflammatory in this movie. It's just completely, it's the white bread of movies, but I mean, it's less useful than that. What is it? Some bland paste that you would put on something?
Mayonnaise?
No.
Toothpaste. It's toothpaste.
It's the toothpaste.
Flavorless toothpaste.
It's the toothpaste of sandwich ingredients, I guess. It doesn't fit. It's terrible. It tastes disgusting.
Just regular paste, like from school.
Yeah. Just regular paste from school.
Yo, you guys remember paste?
There you go.
Remember that?
Paste.
Remember this? Remember that?
Yeah, remember this? Remember that? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see some of the people pulling away from this movie. It's not bad enough to be funny. Like, other than that thing with the fridge, like, there wasn't anything that was, like, so bad that it was like, oh my god, in it. So it's not interesting on that level either. I just can't see any argument for this. I'm sure there are some people out there who will like it. I guess if you love haunting movies, then I guess you could check it out, but don't expect anything.
Well, the problem is the acting's not bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Which prevents it from being so bad it's good.
Yes. Yeah.
It just makes it boring.
Yeah.
That they're, acting well, but they don't have much to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you have anything else to say?
No.
Okay. So, I guess that's our review of The Dead Room from 2015. Basically, don't watch it. I mean, it won't murder you. You're not going to be enraged by this movie. I can't imagine this movie, inflaming anybody's sense of anything. So, other than enraged that you watched this at all. And I guess that's our show. So, if you enjoyed this episode or this show, please rate, review, subscribe, or whatever it is on whatever site you found us. If you did like the show, please share it with the people that you love, or, just think like horror movies or whatever. That's the best way you can help us out. If you would like to reach out to me on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can email me at reclusehorror@gmail.com. And again, if you have any suggestions for movies about hauntings or ghosts or whatever that you think are worth my time to watch, if you think there's something that I particularly would enjoy or just that you really liked, please don't send me garbage requests, or not requests, but suggestions. But yeah, I would love to check out some sort of unique ghost haunting movies. So please go ahead and send those my way. Yeah, is that it? Is that all the things that I say? Oh, Sam, what's your review of what's your rating for these?
The Sam rating.
The Sam rating. Yeah, what's the Sam rating?
On a scale from 1 to Sam, I give it I give it 1 goth girl out of 10.
Oof.
Well, there's only 1 goth girl in it.
Yeah. Out of a possible 10?
If there's 10 goth girls in it, I might have liked it. Right?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the Snake Woman?
I don't ever rate those ones, remember?
So you have a couple of times.
Oh.
If you want to, you can.
I wasn't prepared for it, but...
Yeah.
Snake Woman.
I gave it 1 bad flute player. No, I gave it 4 bad flute players.
That's kind of low.
That's...
Out of 5 flute players?
It's nebulous, but it's not out of 1,000,000. It's not out of 100.
I gotta get a better score than that.
Maybe not out of 10. It's probably not out of 10. Let's say it's out of 7. Out of 6. We're not supposed to say what it's out of. That's the whole point, remember?
Trying to put parameters on the
on the SAM system.
On the SAM rating system.
Yeah.
No, I give it...
I give the dead room 1 dead room.
I give it a dozen snake women.
A dozen snake women. Huh.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Baker's dozen.
Baker's dozen. Huh. That's like 144. You know that, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I like snake women, so... So...
I mean, I get it. I do get it. I like those blank women movies a lot. They're just something that you kind of have to love or hate.
Thanks for listening. Podcast over.
You know, this one was less sexploitative than some of those, too. We maybe should have mentioned that.
Very, very much so, actually.
Yeah.
So...
Though I actually was kind of expecting it to go that way, but it was, the tone was so serious, you know. Okay, so yeah, now we have more information about the Snake Woman, which is that it's less sexploitative than most of those blank women movies.
Which, it can be either a pro or a con. That's up to you.
It is. It really is. And like I said, I really like those, so obviously I'm a misogynist. Like most of my city, apparently. Alright. Well, you guys have a great night. Samuel, say goodbye.
Goodbye.